section 2. That's open the floor, if anyone would like to come up. No one likes to be first, everyone likes to be second and third, but just pretend you're second. So,
Hi, I'm Don. I've just got a couple of memories of Flea that I'd like to share. The first time I met Flea was when he was in the 4th form at Thames High School. Now, Flea, he said that he wasn't a great scholar, but on the other hand, he did get into some community service, and he volunteered to be a laboratory assistant in the physics lab. And that involved measuring out the amounts for the different experiments that would be done and measuring, and he became very proficient in measuring in scales and everything like that. And of course there was a slight benefit in this as well, because the physics lab in the depths of winter was warm, dry and comfortable, and a very nice place for Flea and a couple of his mates to have their lunch, and they had their little pub there. He was actually very good at it, because I had a problem with some pigs that I was raising, and I went to the vet, found out what the remedy was, and I get this thing like a young sugar sack full of this medicine, which they've got to have dished out in very minute amounts, about half a teaspoon, and I had no idea of how to convert the quantities on the bag to something that I could actually measure out in teaspoons. So I took this problem to Flea, and the next day he comes up with an answer in teaspoons. The pigs stopped dying and everything was well. The other memory, or the other thing that I'd just like to mention, when I joined the fire brigade in the 1970s, Flea's father was in the brigade, his older brother was in the brigade. Flea proved immune to joining the brigade, but I would just like to pay tribute to the generosity and hard work that Flea and Anne did whenever there was a real emergency in the community, like several major floods and storms. They, at their own expense and refused to be compensated, their own expense, their own hard work, they turned up with heaps of food to keep the operation going, and that was something that I really, and all of us who were in the brigade at the time, really appreciate. Thank you.
anyone else brave enough to come up?
How's it going, everyone? And girls, probably don't remember me, but not very good at talking, but a bit nervous at the moment. So, yeah, I'd just like to say sorry to hear about Flea going, and it's fairly upsetting for me. And yeah, we had a few beers on the few days, and you know, I've seen him a while back, and good to see him, and we had a few good times, and yeah, he helped me out quite a bit, gave me a bit of help, bloody, when I was in trouble sometimes, and always looked after me and things, gave me a chance to run his boat. He was a good man, you know, good heart, haven't got much else to say about that, but I'm just saying that I love the man and he was a good person. Sad to see him gone, and that's it. Thank you.
Just hold on there. Now I know why men like their the boats, because apparently they're like strippers. They work until you quit throwing $100 bills at them. Thanks for that.
Oh, there's some stories to be told about that. It's new. It's a needle with a motor.
Good afternoon, everyone. Well, a number of us here in the room have known Flea for many years, have fished with him, or been fishing with him, or been on the receiving end of a fish bin from him. And I'm sure one thing we will all agree on is Flea didn't have a grey area. It was black or white, and you knew where you stood. And the only filter he had would be about as big as the content if someone hadn't tied the string. So it's been really humbling to hear so many cool stories and emotional ones, and I'd just like to lighten it up a bit, and hopefully it reflects on the real man that Shane Flea Reid was. A number of years ago in a certain fishing company, I was in the unfortunate position where I had to say to Flea, "You had up your mix on your snapper." He had a big snapper package fishing in the Gulf. Well, to cut a long story short, I got elevated to the point where I go fishing, not catching, blah blah blah. He had to go to a higher level, and he's in a meeting room with some fairly high up execs, and they said, "Look, it's just not good enough, Flea, you're going to have to lift your game." And Flea says, "Lift my game," he says. "I want to know which one of you fellas has got your B stuck on the button in the grading floor at the factory." They said, "What do you mean?" He said, "Well, every time I unload, I never seem to get A, it's always B." And I said, "Oh no, you're going off track here." And he goes, no, I'm not going off track." And they said, "Well, bottom line is, Flea, you're either going to have to start towing the line, or things have got to change." So Flea probably reflected on that for a bit, and he said, "Nah, look, it's just got to be what it is, you know." He said, "I just can't understand why you chaps out at the factory can't get your hand off that B button." I took offence at a certain part of the referral of those chaps at the factory and reminded him very politely it was an iwi-owned initiative, this fishing company he was working for, and he couldn't be derogatory. So he says, "Look, you're getting all upset. I call one of these fellas out here a caring, understanding, 90s type all the time and mention his ethnicity, and he doesn't get upset." Well, he says, "Flea, you just can't say that." And he said, "Oh, just calm down, Marmite." And the guy said, "What did you say to me?" He said, "You heard, calm down, Marmite." He said, "Why did you call me Marmite?" He said, "Because you're thick, you're dark, and you give me the shits." And that's the Flea Reid I want to remember. He had no filter. I'll ring the lawyers now.
There's someone who actually told that story, because that was sort of, a little bit was mentioned, but Barney said, "Oh, I don't think I could actually say anything like that." He was trying to be politically correct, so glad that one of his friends is not politically correct. Have we got anyone else who'd like to say something? Plenty of time afterwards anyway, I'm sure that's when all the stories will come out. So we're now going to have a look at a reflection of Flea's life through photos that the family